Welcome back. Today we're talking about 28 Weeks Later, the sequel to 28 Days Later. First off the bat, I liked this movie a lot, substantially better than the first one. You can tell they had a bigger budget. They definitely implemented that in the camera work, the editing, the acting was great. The makeup was great, so many different elements. I thought that they really went out with this one. Very good. I was very happy with that. And as we're gonna get into this, fair warning, I have a hamster that is currently in her zoomy phase, so you might hear her. Moving on. So we have our main characters. We have Sergeant Doyle. He is the sniper in the military. There are multiple, but he's one of the snipers in the military. We have Scarlet.
Have you come into direct contact with the infected?
She's a medic. And then we have, opening up the film, we start with Don and Alice. They're a married couple. The film opens with them in a cottage, and this little boy's screaming outside, so they go and let him in. And then when they let him in, the horde that was following him of the infected chase him down, break into the cottage, and they basically kill everyone. Don escapes after watching his wife get bit, and has to just leave her behind. And Don's able to escape and survives. We cut to 28 weeks later. It's post the virus being contained, and essentially they just waited it out for it to die off. Essentially all of the infected people starved to death and died, and so they're bringing in the US military to help repopulate the city and kind of bring it back. So the story mainly follows, we have the Sergeant Doyle, Scarlet, and Scarlet is doing testing on the survivors, kind of ensuring infection is completely gone, right, before reintegrating people into the city. And she's also seems to be kind of a research leader. She's very focused on ensuring that the virus is not coming back. Then we have Tammy and Andy. Tammy and Andy are Don's children, and essentially in the beginning of the film, the children are away, I believe, on a school trip, so they thankfully were not affected by the virus breakout. And we kind of learn more information that the virus was contained in Great Britain, in London, so it didn't end up spreading outside of that local city. We also have a character named Flynn. He's a pilot and also kind of friend of Sergeant Doyle. So here's my main hiccup with this film, that it all starts with the kids, Andy and Tammy. They see their dad for the first time brought to the city. Their dad is also part of this reintegration group, I think part of the military, but he's not with the US military. Not positive on his role there. But he's waiting, and the kids see him and they're so happy, and then the kids are like, "Hey Dad, what happened to Mom? Can you tell us that story?" So he goes into the story and tells them "I saw your mom get taken and I had to leave her. There was nothing I could do," which, is true. Did he see her flat out die? No. So the kids kind of are accepting of that story, and they move on for all of 20 minutes, and they get the brilliant idea, let's sneak past all of these military guards watching everyone. Let's sneak past them, go outside of the security boundaries to go to our old house, which is not the cottage where the parents were staying, but the house that the kids grew up in. So they're like, let's go to the house and like get some of our old things. Like, we're fine. People are just being a little like too protective. We're fine. So these fucking kids go outside and they're like sneaking around these military guards, and our main character, Sergeant Doyle, is watching them through the scope of his sniper, and he's just like, yeah, so we have some like kids that are escaping, and this is like my big gripe with the rest of the gripe of it being all because of these children, is that he called for help and told them where these kids were going, and it took them forever to get someone to go stop these kids. Explain that to me. Why, like, the military is like super prepared, but it takes 5 years for someone to go snag these kids before they make it all the way to their parents' house. I don't understand. That's neither here nor there. So now, kids are making their way outside of the, secure lines, and they're starting to see where the real damage is of the city, where it has not yet been like cleaned up at all. There's still bodies and trash and like, bloodshed everywhere. And these kids are just like, oh, wow. Oh my. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, probably 90% of the population got wiped out from this in London. And y'all are like surprised that it's like bad? And then the girl Tammy, teenage girl Tammy, goes into this like little diner and is looking for keys for these little, I think they're like mopeds or whatever. So she's like looking for keys for these little scooters and literally just grabs keys off of a dead body. And like, yeah, she has a kind of grossed out reaction at first, but the fact that she like, because the thing is, these kids are not desensitized to this yet because they weren't there for the virus breakout. It would have made sense if they were part of it. But the fact that these kids came from the outside, had no involvement in it, and then this girl sees a dead body and is like, oh, let me just grab these keys and keep going on with our plan. Do. Like, everything's fine. Is crazy to me. Like, just the fact that at no point did these kids go, oh shit, like, we're way over our heads right now. We need to back it up and go. That was crazy to me. And then finally, the kids make it to the house and they're, going through the house, grabbing their things. Andy runs into his mother that is alive. His mother somehow survived and clearly looks, fucked up. One of her eyes is like bloodshot, which, side note, I loved how they did the either CGI or makeup for this. Looked great. Like, in comparison to the first one especially, I just loved how like much more realistic they went with this. Anyways, back on track. So he meets his mother again in the room and is like really upset because he's like, I thought my mom was dead. So the kids are freaking out. They're like, oh my god, it's my mom. The mother is hugging him and she's like squeezing him with a death grip, and he's like, you're literally hurting me. And so the kid's like screaming for help, and then the military shows up right then and there. Perfect timing. Couldn't have been a little bit sooner. So the military comes in. I honestly thought they were going to shoot her because the kid was screaming for help. So I assumed that the military was just gonna like run in and bam, 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 and like that was it. But they did not. They brought her back and had her detained and being tested, and that's when we kind of get more screen time with Scarlett as she is doing blood testing to see, is the mother infected? How did she survive? She's not talking or giving any answers verbally, so she's just kind of like left to do the tests, and finds out that Alice is infected, but is also not exhibiting the symptoms. So we have a mutation or a genetic abnormality. Something makes her special, and realizes, yes, she actually does have the virus. It's not impacting her the way it does other people. However, she's a carrier for it. So here comes the big moment that is just like ridiculous to me. The mom is in a room, right? And you can see there are glass panes all around. Like you can see into the room from the outside. So tell me how Don, her husband, gets into the room to see her. Nobody is seeing him do this. No one is standing outside of the room of this woman that they just detained. A woman that they're confirming is infected, which even if they didn't know, why do you have this woman being unguarded at all? Like, you just had a huge breakout that murdered so many people. And this one woman survived, and you guys are just like leaving her in a room without any security. Like, there should be military present in the room and outside of the room, keeping anyone from coming in or out. I just am like, what is going on? The dad gets in there and he's like, oh my gosh, my sweetheart. So sorry that I left you. I thought you were dead, but I'm so glad you're alive. She infects him. Not technically, I guess, her fault, because he kissed her and then the saliva gave him the infection. And then he murders her. Yes, he brutally murders her. Horror lover in me, that was a good kill. He like stabbed her eyes out. It was very gruesome. I loved that. But he murders her. And then the movie just cuts to I believe it cuts over to Scarlett and then the kids as they're like waiting to hear answers on their mother. And then it cuts back to like, oh, all of the security guards in the like entire facility are dying. So Don got out and infected a bunch of other people. So the outbreak is happening once again. All because of the kids. All because no one thought to put security outside of the room of this woman. I loved the movie, but they could have went with something a little bit more believable than that. It's neither here nor there. It's fine. It's fine. It's a movie. It's fine. It's not fine. But I did like the action. I think beyond that, it's kind of the military dealing with how do we stop this from spreading as soon as possible. So they start with trying to just have the snipers taking out people that they see are infected. That's not working fast enough because we know this virus spreads within 20 seconds, I think. So then they're given orders, kill everyone on sight, leave no one alive. So then it's like a bloodbath on the streets of everyone getting shot up. And then there's like bombings, there's fire, there's gas, like all of these different brutal scenes. The gore lover in me, it was amazing. I did really like that. I liked the creativity and like the thought that went behind all of those scenes. Just like not just letting it happen. It's like, no, the military also thought of this. Like, kind of for each step that was, you know, that each wave that surpassed a step, the military was also prepared, which I think, you know, is realistic with especially, you know, the US military. The amount of money that is put into it is insane. And so, of course, there's gonna be a lot of measures in place for something like that. Do I think that, like, one of the measures would have been having a security guard with the one surviving woman from the virus? Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. So they're, you know, getting rid of all of these people. Somehow there's still people escaping with the rage virus. And the film is kind of showing Tammy and Andy trying to survive. Scarlett is protecting them because Scarlett had gotten the test done of their mother Alice, and so Scarlett knows that one of these kids probably also has the same genetic mutation, so they could make a vaccine or something for the virus if they can keep either, you know, if they could have kept Alice alive, but now if she can keep Andy and Tammy alive, then maybe they can have like an actual cure or vaccine for the virus. So that's her motivation. Sergeant Doyle is like kind of keeping watch and protecting the kids. Basically, his moment of like breaking and when he realized he needed to kind of like just ditch the plan was when they were given orders to open fire on people, and he noticed Andy like escape, and he's like, well, I'm gonna go follow that kid because I don't really want to kill him. So you got him leading the pact. Scarlett gets shot. It's a whole thing. Then Tammy and Andy, there's this one dude whose name I don't remember and is not even worth remembering because he gets killed off. That's rude but true. Flynn doesn't want to help them because he only wants to help Sergeant Doyle, but he's not willing to take back the other people because he doesn't care about them surviving. Yeah, all of these people are trying to run from the hordes. The hordes are chasing them. They're dying, gruesome bloody deaths. It's great. There's my favorite scene, helicopter scene of Flynn like going to pick them up, and then he's like, oh, you got a group with you? Nope. So he's like leaving, and then the one dude whose name is not memorable is like hanging onto the helicopter. So he basically uses him as bait, drives the helicopter into the horde of infected, and the helicopter blade is just like chopping them in half. It is so gory and amazing. That was my favorite scene. And then basically they get to a zone where they think that they're safe. They end up not being, because guess who's there? Don! Don somehow survived. I mean, I guess, but like, because, you know, he was like the first to kind of start it all, so you'd think that like, oh, and one of these military advancements that he might have been taken out, but apparently he was one of the surviving infected. So Don's there, he kills Scarlett, but the kids get away. Andy gets infected, but not exhibiting symptoms like his mother. So Tammy basically protects him. Flynn finally agrees to help save them because they're the only two survivors from their group. And so the movie ends with Flynn taking Tammy and Andy away. You don't get to see what happens with Andy, and that drives me insane because I want to know what happens with Andy's storyline. Does he get to like I don't know, are they going to a military base? Does he get there and get shot on sight? Do they test him? Does he get hit? Like, are they using him for making a vaccine. Do they care? I mean, we have 28 years later coming out. What happened after 28 weeks? I mean, that's a long ass time. I have so many questions. And then it cuts to a scene where we see all of these people, all of these infected people, I should say, storming towards Paris. So the virus has spread. The end. And that is how the movie ends. It was glorious. Loved it. Did not love that I didn't get an end of a storyline for Andy. That is my biggest gripe with that movie. And also just the fact that, like, the two kids that kind of literally started all of it also survived? Why? And it's like, yeah, they're kids, so of course you're gonna, like, root for them, but at the same time, they're fucking dumb little shits. Like, you don't want to root for them because they're stupid. And it's like, they're seeing all of these people dying around them, and in my head, I'm just like, yeah, you little shit. Like, you started all of this, you should feel bad right now. But then it's also like, well, you know, it's a fucking kid. You gotta be understanding for the kid. Right? I don't know. Anyways, that's my thoughts. I'm gonna drink more coffee. But yeah, I think I unloaded all of my thoughts on that movie. Definitely recommend it. And I definitely will be rewatching it. And I am so excited now for the next one. I really hope that we get some answers to the questions that I have brought up today. I do see that the main guy from the first movie is going to be in the next one as an infected zombie guy, I guess. So I'm very curious to see what they do with that. I think that was like one of my disappointments from this film 28 Weeks Later was not having any of the cast from the first one be brought back. I think that was like a little bit disappointing, so I'm hoping we kind of get that. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll be back soon with a video on the new Final Destination. Bye!